Guys, please be ready for dictation from the Hindu editorial section dated 14th January 2022. Ready? An impartial inquiry into a politically contested incident is always welcome. Earlier this month, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy was stranded on a flyover near Firozpur in Punjab for about 20 minutes. Treating this as a serious security lapse and taking note of the potential for partisan inquiries, the Supreme Court has appointed its former judge, Justice Indu Malhotra, to lead an inquiry. Other members of the probe committee comprise the DGP of Chandigarh, a senior officer of the National Investigation Agency, the additional DGP (Security) of Punjab, and the Registrar General of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. The court official has already secured the records related to the Prime Minister's tour program on that day. One hopes the probe, which has been constituted only to avoid one-sided inquiries at the instance of either the union government or the state government, will give a quietus to the raging political controversy. None will disagree that once the matter was taken to the apex court, only an inquiry of this nature will steer clear of partisan politics, especially in the backdrop of the incident emerging as an exploitable issue in the elections to 5 state assemblies. The union governments so caused notice to the Chief Secretary and DGP of Punjab demanding a response within 24 hours, evoked some resentment from the bench. Initial inquiries ordered by both governments have been put on hold. However, there is something disquieting about the way an isolated lapse in the Prime Minister's security is being used to raise the political temperature and garner electoral dividends. It is unfortunate that the attempt on the part of the ruling BJP to fix the blame on the Punjab government and the Congress which helps it is continuing even after the Supreme Court appointed an independent committee to probe this incident. Assam Chief Minister Hemant Biswa Sharma has made some crude and unwarranted remarks on his Punjab counterpart Charanjit Singh Channi, demanding Mr. Channi's arrest and alleging a conspiracy to kill the Prime Minister. It is clear that a divisive narrative is sought to be built by key functionaries of the BJP, as though they have been asked to milk the issue as much as possible in the run up to the assembly elections. The petition, which the bench headed by the Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramanna agreed to hear early, seemed to be an exercise to put the Punjab government in the dock. However, the Supreme Court has managed to emancipate the litigation from its political overtones, and preserve the scope for a dispassionate inquiry. It would be in the fitness of things if the court took note of the attempts to use the incident for electoral propaganda and restrained political parties from the resort to needless rhetoric. This year, the Harvest Festival brings a change at the helm for the Indian Space Research Organization under bracket ISRO with S. Somnath, who heads the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center under bracket VSSC at Trivandrum, taking over as its chairperson. He succeeds K. Sivan, who also came to head ISRO after having led the efforts at VSSC. Mr. Somnath is the third consecutive chairperson of ISRO to have a master's degree in engineering from the Indian Institute of Science. The organization thus sees a continuance of the recent trend of being led by engineers. It is to be seen if Mr. Somnath's specific expertise in leading innovations in rocket engines, the cryogenic engine, for instance, will shape future developments at ISRO. If earlier the Mars orbiter mission, which broke the records for expense by costing just rupees 7 per kilometer, and Chandrayaan 2 had kept anticipation high, the new chairperson will oversee the unfolding of the human space flight program. Gaganyaan, another long awaited mission, is Aditya L1. This has morphed grown into what will be India's grandest investment in space dedicated to science, specifically solar physics. The aim to take a space observatory to the Lagrangian point 1 under bracket L1 to study the sun offers yet another frontier for ISRO to breach. Mr. Somnath will also lead a transition in the stance of ISRO towards privatization. Until a few years ago, ISRO had remained largely preoccupied with deriving socio-economic benefits from space technology and applications that were used by Government of India and some international collaborations. Of course, these ventures had a strong industry participation, but privatization reforms have been pursued hard recently. The first announcement came in 2019 with the New Space India Limited under bracket NSIL being floated in March, and the commercial arm of ISRO was more formally established. Apart from building and launching satellites, the company will provide launch services, build customized launch vehicles, provides services of Earth observation and communication through satellites, and also transfer technology to Indian industry. As a sequel to the establishment of NSIL, came the announcement of the creation of the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center in June 2020, a channel through which non-governmental private enterprises can carry out space activities. The country's imagination to get up to speed with other competing nations would be put to the test under the new leadership. ISRO and its sister organizations have much to offer in the form of spin-offs and technology transfer. Underlying these questions is the anticipation which stems from the very nature of space science. It not only contributes to immense learning and perspective but also unfolds the very horizon, enhancing universal feelings of oneness. Stop.